Hello, everyone. Greetings from Chicago, and welcome to the Franchise Talk Tuesday webinar. To those of you who have just celebrated or are celebrating Eid al-Adha, Eid Mubarak to you. Thank you to Michael, Andrea, and the Franchise Talk team for putting this event together and hosting it. The subject of today's webinar is indoor entertainment franchises, and I am joined today by two industry experts and franchisors. James Franks, Vice President of Franchise Recruitment for Urban Air, which is a brand, part of the family of brands, Unleashed Brands, and Ernie Belts Jr., the CEO of Bright Brands. Both these gentlemen have a tremendous track record in the children's entertainment and edutainment franchise sector, and they will be sharing their experiences they've had while developing their brands. And at the end, they'll answer questions in a Q&A session. So please submit your questions in the chat box as you think of them, and we will we'll cover them at the end. As I say, my name is Martin Hancock. I'm managing partner of World Franchise Association, which is, we're a UK-based company with offices in strategic markets. As I said, I'm based in Chicago. So with that, let's move on here. First, a little bit about ourselves. We're a franchise sales, marketing, development, and advisory company, managed by a team of international franchise experts with many years of combined franchise development, franchise marketing experience. We have an international franchise marketing and sales program focusing on assisting franchisors develop internationally. An FDP, a franchise development program, which helps businessmen or delivers the elements required to franchise your business. A franchise investor advisory program, which assists investors selecting or acquiring franchise rights. And we also have institutional programs with advisory services relating to franchise infrastructure, system development, and SME growth. So we're here today to talk about children's entertainment, or entertainment, particularly children's entertainment. This is a growth business. The MENA market is the MENA market has been growing in this sector. There was a predictable blip during COVID, but it's expected to continue to grow. The MENA Family Indoor Entertainment Center business is projected to reach 1.6 billion by 2026, which gives us a healthy compounded annual growth return of 13.3% predicted. So let's take a look at why this growth is happening. In the region, you have favorable youth demographics. This tied to the availability of diversified gaming, entertainment, and edutainment options for children is one of the factors that will propel growth. Rise in per capita disposable income. The ever-present desire for parents to give their kids an edge in their mental and physical development through edutainment concepts. The rise in hosting experiential private celebrations, such as corporate events and birthday parties at these entertainment centers. And we've seen a jump post-COVID. Having missed in-person events for a long time, now that people are safe out again, we've seen growth in entertainment experiences. Many of these venues actually seeing record attendance and revenues post-COVID. These are just a few of the factors that are expected to continue to drive the growth of entertainment centers and children-focused entertainment. We have a large variety of concepts in this sector. Here are a few: adventure park, education-related play, go-kart facilities, indoor playground, paintball, laser tag, amusement or theme parks, climbing walls, water parks, and more. There are franchises available in all of these categories, and we'll be happy to evaluate any opportunities with you individually. You'll receive this presentation after the webinar, along with contact information for myself, James, and Ernie, and we'll be happy to schedule a one-on-one call to discuss further with you. So, what are the revenue sources for this type of concept? Obviously, both James and Ernie are going to talk more about their specific revenue sources, but overall we're looking at ticket sales and entry fees, recurring revenue for classes in the case of edutainment, food and beverage is a part of this, merchandising, parties, and corporate functions. Here are some examples of brands that we work with. So what are we seeing as far as trends here? At the top of the presentation, we identified indoor entertainment as a growth sector, and all indications are it will continue to grow. Technology, whether in the games themselves or in the way the player interacts with the experience, or the way the games are manufactured, will continue to advance and provide ever-improving experiences and education for children. And last, it's all about the experience. Nowadays, people want experiences for their children, for themselves, not only in adventure parks, in retail, in restaurants. This is not going to go away. Parents are willing to spend money to give their children this type of experience, and it's as I say, it's a key to the success and growth of this industry. As I said, we have James Franks and Ernie Belts Jr. with us today, and now I'd like to introduce James. If I could have the slide there, please. So, Urban Air is the leader in the indoor entertainment center section. Over 290 locations open or under construction, rated #1 in their category for 4 years in a row by the Entrepreneur magazine Franchise 500. And with that, I'd like to hand it over to James.
Thank you, Martin, and good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today on Franchise Talk. And I'm looking forward to spending time with you over the next several minutes talking about urban air adventure parks, and I'll be glad to answer any questions toward the end of this presentation. Before I get started here, as I jump into talking about urban air, I want to talk about just to kind of give you an idea of how urban air fits into our company. Our platform company is Unleashed Brands, and we live in the children's enrichment business, all franchise brands. And we will always have a brand that's in one of three categories: learn, play, and grow. So Urban Air Adventure Parks, which we're going to talk to a lot about today, is the world's leader in the play category. But we also own brands like XP League, which is a league for gamers, Snapology, which is a STEAM brand, Class 0101 is a prep for a college brand. Little Jim's been around for over 40 years, and Premier Martial Arts. So I'll be glad to spend more time at a different time about those brands, but let's jump in and talk about Urban Air today. Urban Air Adventure Parks, as Martin said, is the leading indoor family theme park. We're based in the United States. We are in a position now that we are considering the right franchise partners for our international expansion. I will get into more of that as we move along here in this presentation. We create one-of-a-kind entertainment experience. And in the U.S., our core user at the park is mainly 4 to 14-year-olds. Now, we do have teenagers older, and we do have younger, but that's our core focus. Our core customer is the parents, mainly the mom, and we'll talk about that as we move forward as well. Ultimately, our franchisees use this business as a vehicle to reach their own personal wealth building and lifestyle goals, and making a difference in their local communities. We talk about all the time investing in kids, investing in the community. And while over 50% of our franchise locations are owned remotely, and I'll talk about that, but give you a little history of Urban Air. If you haven't visited, you can also visit urbanairfranchise.com, unleashedbrands.com. But we started in 2011, and we quickly grew from this family-owned business that started to franchising and turning it into a indoor adventure park. As Martin said, we've been ranked #1 by Entrepreneur Magazine 4 years in a row. But also, one of the key factors by Entrepreneur Magazine's Franchise 500, we were ranked #1 in the entertainment category for 4 years in a row. But we also ranked the top 46 out of 500 franchises they rank. We have in the United States, actually, we had a park open the other day. We have 158 parks open and 130 plus in development. Some of the things that we talk about, and Martin was saying, is while we're about family entertainment in that aspect, we're as much a technology company as we are an entertainment company. We're going to work with our partners. We expect our international partners to have really good education on the real estate side of the area. And we can talk about that one-on-one when we set up meetings through Martin. But we work with you on a project management side to open your park and all the things that go in behind opening the park. Give you an example. From the time you sign a franchise agreement to open a park in the U.S., there's 381 documented steps that our project managers work with the franchisees on opening their park. We have the state-of-the-art training and safety training, and we'll get into that a lot when we go through these slides. I want to talk about how we market our business and attractions. I won't go through every one of these bullets here. Like Martin said, you'll get this presentation. But we are the world's first total indoor theme park. You know, that we were a trampoline park when we first started in 2011. Less than 20 or 30% of our square footage is dedicated to trampolines. So I will tell you, we are an indoor adventure park. Matter of fact, the brand president and CEO of Urban Air has over 20 plus years experience with Six Flags, and he ran the Six Flags International business, which is one of the largest amusement parks in the nation. So we're really proud of that. Martin talked about revenue streams. I want to talk about that a little bit while we're on this slide. Urban Air has really been able to position itself as a category leader because not only do we focus on walk-in traffic, we focus on e-commerce traffic. People book their reservations online just like they do when they go to the movies. Memberships is a huge part of our business, recurring income, and we'll talk about that as we move forward. Birthday parties. We book over 25,000 birthday parties a month for locations in the U.S. In-park revenue. We actually have a quick service, easy to execute cafe within the park that while you have a captive audience, our restaurants inside our cafe and inside our parks are amazing. You'll learn more about that as we go through the discovery process with the business. During COVID, and we tracked this in the United States, we had no permanent closures due to COVID for Urban Air locations. While other folks in the industry had over 300, whether it's independents or other franchise systems, we stopped counting over 300 locations. We were there for our franchisees, and we can talk about that as we dive in and have one-on-one meetings in that aspect. So Urban Air is about helping kids move off devices and really be active play. Parents love to bring them into Urban Air, get them off the devices and have active play. And we'll talk about that as we go forward here. You know, one of the things about it is we know our purpose and we know our customer. We can't be everything to everyone, and we don't try to be. We have franchisees that this is the first time they ever owned a business, and we have franchisees that own hundreds of franchises with other brands. Our largest franchisee has 14 locations, which is a real business because the average Urban Air franchise in the U.S. does about $3 million a year in sales. Our top franchisee, you would see in our franchise disclosure document, did over $9 million last year in sales. And our EBITDAs are around 30%, which you'll see in our franchise disclosure document. But one of the things we drive home, the numbers and economics are really good. But our top franchisees understand in the U.S., now we're expanding internationally, to help the kids celebrate and escape hardships and build life skills through active play and socialization. What I mean by that is it could be simple as Martin was saying on the special events, whether it's a birthday, whether it's straight A's, a family reunion. It's also there to build friendships and build confidence and be active. But it's also hardships in life. They may be going through an illness in the family or divorce or hardship or whatever the case may be, and they come into Urban Air as a way to escape. So we talk about celebrating, connecting, and escaping. Now in the U.S., a lot of our employees are also first-time job employees. You know, in the U.S., a lot of our employees are 16 to 20 years old, high school and college age kids. And this is the first job that they ever had. And they just love working at Urban Air. What makes us so different is we provide an affordable yet premium product, an experience that meets the parents, what they're looking for. You know, Martin said earlier about entertainment. People and families love experiential theme, attractions, parks, events, so forth. This appeals to the entire family. It's a diversified business. It's hard to duplicate what Urban Air does. Of course, you can buy attractions, but nobody can copy the technology that we have in place, the marketing programs that we work with you with, the impact of our business. And we can talk about that as we move forward. We're always innovating. You know, there's a couple attractions here. If you've ever been into a trampoline park, they have a dodgeball course. So on Urban Airs have dodgeball courses. And on the slides on the left side there, through technology and innovation, we are able to layer technology on top of existing attractions. And that's called Immersive Reality. And we have about 8 or 9 different games that a birthday party of 10 or a community outreach or a corporate event can come in and compete in that aspect. We actually, during COVID, came out with the new logo that you see in the top right-hand corner. And it's been phenomenal with our parks around the country. We talked about the cool thing about an urban air is depending on the size of facility that you go in is also dependent on the number and types of attractions that you may have. So we have a base attraction package that we'll talk to you about, but it's very common for folks to have additional attractions in their parks so they can have a more premium ticket pricing as well. So whether it's laser tag, Martin mentioned that earlier, there's some businesses that do that on their own. We can do it right inside our park. Go-karts. We have indoor go-kart tracks that you can have in your park. We have spin flip, which is the top right, or they're bumper cars that spin and flip. The middle bottom picture is a picture of that. We have a brand new attraction that's going into our parks next year called a drop tower. Kids will love this drop tower. It doesn't take up much square footage, and it's a premium attraction for them to be able to do with the business. We've also diversified our look, and I talked about the cafe. The cafes do 20-30% of the total park sales in that cafe. You know, it is, and we have to keep, but we're evolving as a brand. So, for example, I'll just tell you, you know, innovation's always coming. So our franchisees and new parks are being built. Their kitchens are being upgraded and designed and going to the next level so we can keep up with the demand, whether it's pizzas, whether it's drinks and so forth with the business. Our parks are very attractive to the families. We are basically put our parks in the retail area where families live, shop, hang out, eat. That's where we're going to be. We're not in the industrial areas. We're in the retail areas. And a lot of our locations in the United States are former large box retailers that have since moved or relocated or have gone out of business. This is a park that just opened in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and we're continuing to evolve. There's a lot of action at the parks and so forth in that, and we can get into that more as we go through. Some of the things that I want, and I'll be available for Q&A at the end, but we are looking ideally for the right international partners that host one or more of these key criteria. We'd like to have master area franchisees that have business experience in the hospitality, restaurant, family entertainment, gym background. We have a lot of franchisees in urban air that are Planet Fitness franchisees, Dunkin' franchisees. They own high-end daycares like Primrose and Goddard. They own swim schools, and they turn to urban air as a way to continue to diversify their business and continue to build in their and own the kids market in their area. As a matter of fact, we have several franchisees in our portfolio that had one brand that's going to the second brand and unleash the third brand. So we can actually maximize the kids enrichment programs in the local community. So you don't always have to grow geographically, but you can layer some of our other brands on top of existing brands and really own that kids market in your local market. We're looking for franchise partners internationally that have strong organization, leader, and management skills. If you don't have an operations team in place, we'll be talking about how you're going to put that operations team in place that's going to be dedicated to work on the urban air business. You know, basically corporate structure, you know, comfortable sharing the risk and reward. We have a single point person, but it's not uncommon for our entities to have multiple partners. You know, we have people that, like I said, and their other businesses own over 100 locations, and people like to do business with people that do well. So you have multiple people in the entity. The actual total net worth and liquidity is going to be based off the number of locations that we're looking for to open and develop over a period of time in a market. But we're really looking for a group that is operationally sound and also financially sound to basically start up the business and build the business over the time like we did in the United States. In the United States last year alone, urban air adventure parks did over $468 million in top line revenue sales. This year we'll do over $525 million in those same parks. That does not count the 40 new locations that we're opening this year. During COVID in 2020, when everything got shut down, we still opened 33 new parks, and they opened at capacity limits and so forth due to COVID, but they're some of our strongest parks in the system now because they open. We're looking for franchisees that are systems oriented. We have systems, we have processes, we have really good tools for help you to work on the business and not just in the business. We want you to build the business up, but we want you to start with the end in mind. We want you to have an exit strategy, because someday, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the road, you want to build an asset that you have something to sell, and not only will have your annual income or EBITDA from the business, but build equity in the business and have an asset to sell. And also, we're looking for team-oriented franchisees and sales-driven. We're as much a marketing and sales business as we are anything. We're in the business of capturing and retaining customers. Our great marketing will get them in the door. Your great customer service, the team you put in place, and the experience they have at Urban Air will keep them coming back and telling other people that they want to be a part of coming to Urban Air. When we host birthday parties, no matter if the park has been open for a few months or a few years, we always have new people attending birthday parties. And the first thing that they have is, wow, mom or dad, I want to have my birthday party at Urban Air. We have a great built-in marketing process with the parents to reach out to them and talk to them about ongoing events, birthday parties, and so forth. So our franchisees, especially coming through COVID and so forth, they're tenacious, they're overcomers, and they're really about building the business. So the business itself is, as Martin said, the entertainment, the experiential side of the business is growing. Over 50% of our franchisees are expanding into multiple locations. Over 50% of our franchisees are what we call remote owners. They don't live in the market where they own the business. I don't want to confuse that with absentee ownership by any means, because they're very engaged business owners. Our top franchisees know their numbers. We provide them with the tools for a dashboard, so every day they can meet with their team and talk about how's the birthday parties doing, how's the memberships going, how's the cafe doing, what's it look like for employees. We teach them how to staff the business and so forth. So one of the most exciting things about Urban Air is, when we opened that park for the first time, and we opened in Livonia, Michigan last week, and it was the franchisee's second location. And people couldn't wait till it opened and to see the lines that come out. Our business starts strong. There's not a buildup. They are ready from day one, and we're excited about that. So we're looking for franchise partners to understand the sense of urgency, that the time to get these open, because it is not a 1,200 square foot location. It will be in the U.S. 30 to 50,000 square feet locations, and then you can dictate your attractions based off there. But I could talk all day about this, and I want to go ahead and turn it back over to Martin. We'll also have my contact information. I look forward to answering any of your questions at the end. All right, Martin, thank you.
James, thank you very much for that excellent presentation. So I now want to introduce you to Ernie Belts Jr., co-founder and CEO of Little Land. Little Land is a revolutionary concept offering fun and developmental play for kids. Little Land is dedicated to changing the lives of families and children through developmental play. And with that, I'll turn it over to Ernie.
The early years of your child's life is special. It should be filled with joy, adventure, and laughter. Each new accomplishment becomes a snapshot moment parents remember. And every day gives them new opportunity for growth and discovery. And children experience them best through play. Because play leads to exploration and expression, and fosters pride and happiness, all while preparing them for the future. The power of play.
Hello everyone, my name is Ernie Beltz and I am the co-founder and CEO of Little Land. I'm excited to be here today to tell you about Little Land, our classes and programs, and answer any questions that you might have about our franchise opportunity. My wife Debbie and I, we started Little Land in 2015 based on her experience as a pediatric occupational therapist. Throughout her career, she had always had a dream to create a gym where all kids, regardless of their background or ability, could come together to play. That's Little Land. We offer a developmental play gym where kids can play and develop necessary muscles and social skills and a variety of other skills, as well as classes and programs that help kiddos reach those necessary milestones at young ages and as they grow that they need the rest of their life. Over the next few slides, I'll share more information about Little Land, about our mission, about how we impact those that we serve, and I'll be happy to answer your questions at the end of the presentation. Thanks again for being here today. Everything that we do at Little Land is designed to impact necessary milestones throughout childhood. We know that play is essential to development because it contributes to the cognitive, physical, social, and emotional well-being of children and youth. In fact, play is so important to optimal child development that it has been recognized by the United Nations High Commission for Human Rights as a right of every child. So at Little Land, we develop physical, emotional, and social strength through developmental play and pediatric therapy. We cultivate big imaginations, awe-inspiring creativity, and transformative curiosity. We're preparing young minds for a big world. As I mentioned earlier, at Little Land we offer a variety of services and programs for our customers. First being our developmental gym, second being our pediatric therapy, and lastly our classes and programs that encompass sensory art, music exploration, Little Learners, Workout of the Week, our camps program, and parties and events. But before we get started in all the classes and programs, let's take a look at what our developmental play gym is designed to do. Did you know that it's a child's job to play? That's how they learn. That's where they develop friendships and memories. That's why our play gym is designed with play in mind. We also focus on several specific areas throughout our gym and all of our programs. The first is fine motor skills. Fine motor skills are essential for daily tasks, such as dressing, eating, and writing. These skills require the coordination of our brain and small muscles in our hands. Children need the ability to perform basic fine motor skills by the time they start school. Secondly is gross motor skills. Gross motor skills require large muscles for everyday movement, such as balance, sitting, and walking. The most crucial developmental stage for these skills is in the first 2 years of a child's life. Third is speech and language. Speech and language skills are imperative for more than just communication. Any developmental delays with these skills can affect breath control, swallowing, and also a child's self-confidence. Fourth is sensory processing. Sensory processing interprets sight, hearing, smell, touch, and taste, and translates them into responses. The ability to interpret senses is important for personal safety and well-being, such as understanding pain, hearing an alarm, or smelling a fire and knowing what to do. The fifth item is social development. Social development is critical for interactions with others and regulating behavior. It makes a difference for a child's future as a teen and adult. Engaging with their peers at Little Land enhances these skills. Last is emotional development. Emotional development is recognizing, interpreting, and managing feelings. Children can learn to manage emotions by thinking about goals, motives, and outcomes to determine if their behavioral response is appropriate. So now that I've told you a little bit about our gym, let me show you a quick video so you can see the inside of some of our facilities.
It sure is fun to make new friends. Now let's have a great day. Hello, hello, everybody. We're at Little Land to play. Hello, hello, everybody. It's time to laugh, learn, and play. It's time to laugh, learn, and play.
I know that most of you have never visited a Little Land before, but we invite you to come visit us anytime you'd like. Let me tell you, when you're there with kids playing in the gym, you want to get on the swings and go down the slides just as much as they do, and we see parents doing that every single day. Now let me tell you a little bit about pediatric therapy services that we offer at Little Land. First is occupational therapy. Kids have a job to play and learn, as I mentioned before. Through sensory exploration, motor planning, fine motor activities, and problem solving, occupational therapy develops those skills that kids use every single day. Next is speech therapy. Speech therapy helps children understand and communicate with the world all around them. It equips kids with the essential life skills by improving articulation, developing social and conversational skills, or strengthening muscles that are really important for feeding and breathing. We also offer physical therapy. Physical therapy improves gross motor skills used to run, jump, and play. It increases muscle strength, builds endurance, and enhances flexibility. Most of our facilities offer pediatric therapy services. As I mentioned, the developmental milestones that we strive to help children meet are all based on therapeutic techniques that our licensed therapists and experienced team have used throughout their career. Now let me transition and tell you a little bit about our classes and programs. The first program I'd like to tell you about is our Workout of the Week. This weekly workout series is designed for 9 different age groups, starting at 3 months of age through 6 years of age. This program took nearly 3 years of development time, with our cross-section of therapists from different specialties coming together and sharing their experience and many years of working with children to develop this program, where children come together every single week with a trained instructor to focus on specific developmental milestones that are important during each age group. The next program I'd like to share with you is our Music Exploration Program. As with all of our programs, it was developed by our team of therapists and meant to be a program where kids have fun and learn through music. It's not a program that teaches children how to play instruments, but it's designed to provide children with an experience that introduces them to various types of music, encourages exploration of musical instruments, and develops a personal sense of musicality. Our curriculum has been developed by therapists and musicians to increase awareness of basic music concepts, as well as improve attention, auditory comprehension, coordination, and confidence. We've worked with musicians from around the world to develop and record classic songs, as well as the development of new and original music just for Little Land. The next program to share with you is our Little Learners program. As we know, expectations are rising, and it is more important than ever to provide our youngest learners with the skills that they need to succeed in school. In order to prepare your children for preschool and kindergarten, you need a strong curriculum that not only covers all key learning domains, but does so in a way that is fun, engaging, and developmentally appropriate for all learners. Our curriculum's active teaching style stimulates cognitive development while never forgetting that children at this age need movement, energy, and socialization as well. This program develops skills for social expectations, community and cultural roles and routines, self-regulation, literacy, speech, and communication, fine motor coordination and strength, sensory processing, sustained attention, executive processing, self-care, and basic concepts for the core common subjects. Over the course of 15 weeks, children will engage in multisensory activities to develop skills that will serve them well in the classroom group settings in their future. There's one more program that I'd like to share with you, and that's our sensory art program. To do so, I asked our Vice President of Operations, Chelsea Dupre, to record a short video to tell you about this program.
I'm Chelsea Dupre, Director of Operations here at Little Land. Our sensory art class aims to involve all 5 senses during multi-sensory art projects. We want kids to use as many senses as possible and connect as many memories and experiences to these projects that are being made. We're involving scent, we're involving sight, we even involve music through our hello and goodbye song. Sensory experiences help kids build neural connections that support learning and creativity. We like to involve everyday household items in our art projects because we know that kids have probably seen or experienced these items in some way before, but they're now being presented with them in a new way that's hopefully going to build a new connection and a new memory. Each week is themed, and our teacher leads the students through a discussion on how the elements of art are related to this theme. We may be talking about color, space, shape, texture. For example, smell is one of the strongest senses tied to memory. In the spring, we might infuse lavender into one of our projects. In the fall, it may be pumpkin spice or cinnamon. We know that kids have smelled these scents before, but now they're experiencing them in an entirely new creative setting and hopefully making a new lasting memory.
Thank you again for being here and allowing me to share a little bit about Little Land with you. I look forward to answering any questions that you might have.
Well, thanks to both of you for those excellent presentations and 2 diverse concepts. The first question I think, is for both of you. So can you talk a little bit about the support for international, the planned support for international franchisees and how that would differ from domestic franchisees? Ernie, or either one. Ernie, why don't you start that?
Sure, thanks, Martin. So for us, our support team is based here in Austin, Texas, which is where we are based. We do have a master franchise partner in China, which was our first international exposure, which also gave us an opportunity to kind of learn the best way to support markets that are far away in different time zones. So right now, we're still a small company, we're still growing, but using our master franchisee in China as the example, our team meets with them routinely about updates in curriculum and classes and provides direct support. It does take some scheduling, to make sure that we're available for each other. We use a lot of technology. We use webinars for them. We do online training for their employees and for our new franchise partners in that region. But overall, we treat our master franchise partner in China much like we do our franchisees in the U.S., just knowing that there's a little bit more space between us that we have to manage through.
Thank you. James?
Yes, thanks, Martin. One of the great things about urban air adventure parks expanding on an international front, many of our other Unleashed brands have international presence already, as well as the team that Michael Browning, our founder, has put in place here at Urban Air Adventure Parks. As I said earlier, Jay Thomas, the brand president and CEO, 20 plus years with Six Flags Amusement Parks, ran their international division. So we have experts from marketing to franchising to amusement parks that have worked internationally. I will be very transparent. We are looking for franchise partners international that understand their market. They understand their demographics. We're actually looking for them to come to us and also share what they learned from their market and how it may fit in with urban air. And then we will also, in turn, share with how we've had success in the U.S. and our team. We will work with them on every step of the way as far as franchise training, your key point person training. They'll spend a lot of time in the U.S. visiting some grand openings and that. And there's be an additional layer of training for the master franchise or the area franchise where we train the trainer, so to speak. And we'll work through the details of what that means and how that looks based off the organization that we attract for that piece of the business. Thank you.
Thank you. This is for Ernie. We don't really want to get too far into costs, but what is the startup cost for a franchise, Ernie?
Yeah, so again, there are market variabilities that change total startup costs, but in the U.S., our average opening cost starts at about $175,000 US, and it goes up from there. I would say that our total average is about $225,000 for a 5,000 square foot store for Little Land.
Okay, I'm not sure I understand this. James, at the beginning, you showed us all of the other concepts that within Unleashed brands. I think the question is, what is the difference in your franchisee profile for the other brands, or is it similar?
Well, I think it'd be similar, but they are different, and we would have to, have a brand overview on those. So, I'll use Snapology as an example. It's a STEAM brand. It's a lot lower investment. It's a great brand. It's in that aspect, or XP League, which is a gaming, which is a league. It's like I9 Sports, if you've heard of that before. But Urban Air is the most capital intensive franchise that we have. And when you think about it, typically in the US, we're opening in 30 to 50,000 square foot facilities. So it's a major CapEx investment for Urban Air as well.
That's great. And your presentation will show us the other brands so we can look them up. This is for Ernie. What opportunities do you see in the GCC for developmental gyms?
I think generally speaking, because we focus on early education and school readiness, there is all of our programs are geared directly around developmental milestones. And those milestones are the same for children, regardless of what area of the world that they're in. And so we know that our programs will help prepare kids for school and for early education as well. Our pediatric therapy component, again, is transferable to anywhere in the world. It's a service that's necessary and needed. It's underdeveloped in some parts of the world, and I think there's huge opportunity there. I think what really makes us unique in the GCC and any other region really is the opportunity to bring together a variety of different types of kids. Diversity is huge, and getting to learn together and from one another is one of the most powerful things that we see at Little Land, where typically when you have a pediatric therapy center, typically it's separate from a play environment. But because we bring those together, we see kids that are making like amazing progress in our environment that they wouldn't see in a traditional clinic. And so we couple that with education and preparing that for school. We really have the opportunity to touch every child and help them, regardless, again, if their ability or disability. From about 3 months of age to 6 or 7 years of age is our prime age group. But we literally have activities and programs that are going to make them stronger and better teenagers and adults that can impact them at every stage of their life, regardless of where they are in the world.
Thank you. 2 questions here for James. The first one you may have covered in your presentation. What is the size of a typical Urban Air facility?
Yeah, so the smallest that we have is 30,000 square feet. We have them bigger than 50,000. We actually have one that's over 70,000, but our typical is 30 to 50. The average Urban Air is around 37,500 square feet with that. And then where we put those locations is really based off the trade area of that market. So, use areas that are very metropolitan or some that are rural. We do well in both types of areas, but they just pull from a larger or smaller drive period. So if you look at Long Island, New York, it may be 15-mile radius and there's hundreds of thousands of people. Or if you go to El Paso, Texas, it's much more spread out. And, in that region, my numbers are maybe off a little bit, but there's around 10 million people, I believe. And of that, our core group of 0 to 14-year-olds. There's 1.5 million kids in that area, and it will depend on the trade area of how many locations we would actually put in that. In the United States, we look for around 45,000 kids between the ages of 0 and 14 in a trade area.
Fantastic. I think you've just answered part of the second question. Maybe I can help with this too. What challenges do you see in setting up urban air in the GCC that you don't face in North America? I mean, one of the great positives is the youthful demographic in U.A.E, in Saudi Arabia. Obviously there's the technology is already there, the awareness is there. I think it's less competitive than the US to an extent, but maybe you could take that a bit further, James.
Yeah, I think it's really going to be us sitting down with the possible partner and really talking about real estate opportunities that are currently in the market. We have franchisees that are building locations, but still about 85% of our locations go into second generation retail. So we want to understand the market availability on existing real estate, and we were looking for our possible partners to have a good fit handle on that piece of. So that would be something that we would work through and talk through about existing real estate versus new real estate and the costs associated with that. We are very excited about the attractions and shipping them there and getting them installed and the whole process of that. I think the key thing is, just like it is in the United States, it's just at a higher level international is, so we're going to go through a very detailed vetting process that's mutually vetting. So for the prospective franchisee to really find out if it's a good fit and if they can work with us internationally, because there are going to be a lot of responsibilities on day to day for that master / area franchisee to accomplish. But we will have the team here to work with them. So for example, we're going to expect them to take our manuals that we may have and convert those over to fit their market. We're going to have our architect drawings, but they'll have to find their architects locally that can develop that. We'll guide them, we'll coach them. Our teams, our project managers will work with them, but there'll be a lot of differences internationally that we don't have in the US that we will address.
Super. Last question. What method is used to protect franchisees from poorly performing franchises? I think that must mean franchisor. So let me take this first of all. Both of the concepts we're looking at here are successful in the US. But in the end, as long as you're receiving all of the support, everything you need, performance is franchisee driven. So if you've done your homework and we know that it's going to work in the home country, then it's not a question of the franchisor protecting you there. Did I answer that question right, guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would, in any franchise system, I'll be brief on this. Any franchise system has the 20-60-20 rule. You have the top franchisees that just get it, that are just engaged, and they're hitting home runs all the time. The heart of a franchise system is the middle 60. It's not a bad place to be. That's the heartbeat of most franchise systems. The bottom 20, in my opinion, and I've been doing this 25 years with some of the largest and smallest brands all around the country, it's engagement of the franchisee. We have proven the model, and this model is duplicatable in international markets. The franchisee has to be engaged and trust the franchising process. But some of our best ideas and systems we have today come from franchisees, and that will happen internationally. There'll be different tweaks and different things. You won't be able to have the same menu in the cafe that we have here. We understand that. We offer that flexibility. And that's really what we're looking for as a partner, so we can work through that. But we do have standards, we do have guidelines, and we look for engagement, and we look for a history of engagement with our prospective franchisees.
Anything to add to that, Ernie?
Yeah, I would agree with everything that you said, Martin, and that James mentioned as well, and just say that for us, you know, when we're looking at our classes, our programs, and all the services that we offer, we build much of that with the customer in mind, which in turn is the franchisee in mind of how to deliver these services, how to sell these services, how to market these services, because again, we're all successful when we are all successful, right? That's what we want. So we've developed our processes and our systems to be just that, to give our franchisees the opportunity to copy and repeat, if you will. And as James mentioned, in any international market, there's going to be variations. And I would say we've experienced a lot of that in China. We've actually taken some of the lessons learned in China and brought them back to our US franchisees as a best practice. And it's a new way of doing things. So we do learn from our franchisees, we learn from each other, and we're always striving to be better. You know, we're never stuck in the way we're doing things today. We're always looking at the future for better support and better opportunities for us and our franchisees.
Great comments from both of you. I think James mentioning that the menu in the cafe is going to be different. I mean, you know, there are cultural differences. There are cultural differences in marketing particularly. And this is something that'll, I mean, obviously, both of the concepts we're looking at here are cultural. There's no cultural issues, but it's something that you go through as part of your due diligence. Anything that has to, any tweaks that need to be made to suit the culture. Anyway, I'd just like to thank you both very much for an informative and interesting session. I'd like to thank everybody who's attended this webinar for being on it, wherever you may be. And I encourage you to forward to the franchise talk your requests for meetings. Lastly, I'd like to bring up the next Tuesday webinar brought to you by the Franchise Talk. The next one will be opportunities with B2B service franchises, and it's on the 9th of August from 2 to 3 p.m. Gulf Standard Time. Thank you very much, everybody.